Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we're so delighted that you've welcomed us into your home today. We know what a privilege it is to be there. We want you to send us an email with your question or your comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com. Well, today we're going to bring to you Kristen Hansen again, and she's a community relations advocate for patients' rights. You can go to her website. It's patientsrightsaction.org. So beautiful show, beautiful sharing. So anointed and appointed by God to carry on as her husband asked her to do. And to be an advocate for patients' rights in this culture of death. The world, this culture is just like the magic word out there is compassion, and we're doing this because this is what's best, and nobody wants to be a burden, and I'm putting you through so much, but families and advocates need to stand up and say no.
Well, that's her organization does that. Patientsrightsaction.org. And Joyce, speaking about false compassion, St. John Paul II with Evangelium Vitae said things like this regarding assisted suicide. He said, he called it calling the practice a form of murder and commanding Catholics, don't obey such laws.
Yes.
It's a form of murder, encouraging people to commit suicide, euthanasia. He said, the democratic ideal is being betrayed. This is, if you can do this, even if you vote on this, this is moving towards totalitarianism.
Yes.
You're dictating, and what Benedict himself said, the dictatorship of relativism.
Yes.
John Paul II called it false mercy. This is false mercy. We need real mercy, real loving of our family members. False mercy. He says this is a culture of death. Don't obey these laws. Again, don't promote the laws, don't obey the laws, confront the laws. He says, as they are completely lacking in juridical validity. No juridical, no validity. It's not true law. Right. You don't have to obey this. And he says, he's saying there's no moral obligation to submit to aggressive medical treatment to prolong life when it's imminent.
Right.
You know, you don't have to continue to do that. But we offer palliative care. What about palliative care?
Yes.
I mean, do we speak about that? Are people being trained in this whole field? And John Paul II said then, that's what we need to be doing. The values of freedom and life are interrelated. Freedom cannot be used to denigrate life. And that's what assisted suicide does. So their story is a beautiful love story.
Yes.
His story is a story of life, the way he lived. His story is a story of life as he died. Great witness to his children, to his wife, to everybody around him.
Well, you know, it's the same language out there about with abortion and death. It's like, you don't understand my situation. Everything comes down to you and your situation. What's the best thing for you to do? The best thing for us to do is to let God be the author of our lives, our living and our dying.
We are here, as John Paul II said, to build a new culture of life, and that's exactly what we're doing on this show. We'll be right back. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and today we bring to you again Kristen Hansen, a community relations advocate for Patients' Rights Action Fund. So you can go to her website. It's patientsrightsaction.org. Well, Kristen, we want you to tell our family what those 3.5 years that you had when they originally had said maybe 3 months, maybe 5 months, you really fought for a second and third opinion, got some aid and help medically.
She gave medical orders.
Right, you were like, take care of, this is my beloved. He's not just a patient to you, he's my husband. Tell us what those 3.5 years meant to you and JJ.
Well, as I shared, when we were first told that JJ only had a couple of months to live, 3 years felt like an eternity. And so really that was the greatest gift we could have been given. Obviously, we would have wanted a full lifetime together, but we lived so much in those 3.5 years because we knew that our time together was possibly limited. And I would encourage everyone to live that way, as if each day is your last, but knowing that you may have a full lifetime ahead of you. We just lived and loved the best we could, and we made as many memories as we could. Our son James, who is now 6 years old, has so many pictures and videos of his daddy that we can look at together, and he knows who his daddy was. And on the hard days when he's really missing Jay and he talks to me about it, I tell him that he has been given the gift of the memory of JJ, and he can now share that with Lucas. That someday when Lucas is old enough, that he can share all the memories and stories that he was able to make with JJ with him. So
that's so important. And as we were sharing earlier too, just other people who knew and loved JJ, to speak into their lives. And I liken it to, with my mother's passing, as I was sharing with you at age 5, that I would meet with my aunts, and because my mother had 7 sisters, and they were like the apostles to me, because they would say, let us tell you, we were with her. So this is what she was like, the good, the bad, and some of the ugly. This is really who she was. And it was like, I don't know anything about that, and it kind of sticks. So that's so important to what you're doing there. How does this matter of having time fit in to your advocacy work with people, helping them to understand? Because like you bore a child in that time, you had time together. Jesus' whole active ministry was 3.5 years publicly. It sounds like that was JJ's active time of ministry, those 3.5 years, in living the way he lived through this death. But how does that fit into advocacy work and time and other opinions and you making the decisions instead of it being taken over by assisted suicide?
So the gift of the 3.5 years that we were given is just a perfect example of how doctors make mistakes. And so fortunately and unfortunately, JJ is not the only one who was given a prognosis that was very wrong. There's a woman named Jeanette Hall who's from Oregon, and she also advocates against assisted suicide because when it was first legalized in Oregon, she received a terminal cancer diagnosis, went to her doctor, requested the medications, and fortunately her doctor had a long-standing relationship with her and really talked to her and convinced her to give treatment a try and to reconsider. She's 20 years out now. And she said, if my doctor had let me go through with it, I wouldn't be here. And so that is one of the very real dangers with assisted suicide. If you commit assisted suicide, you'll never know. And patients on that journey, we saw it firsthand. You have some very dark days that feel like they may be your last. JJ's first few months during treatment were very difficult and challenging, and then he ended up going into remission and had 2.5 beautiful good years where we were able to have our second son.
But during that time, and as people, when we're suffering, we miss the whole gospel of suffering. I mean, suffering makes us holy. Suffering is good for our souls. To suffer with your loved ones, to see your children suffer, to my children, when they saw me suffering and Jim suffering after he had his heart attack, Jesus is still alive. Faith is still there. We still have rights and dignity and value and worth. And we can't abort that just because we're tired or we're depressed or it's a sad day. There's lots of sad days in our living, but it's not the end of our days. So we miss all of that. And I think that's one of the things that this culture of death is trying to eradicate. It's like, don't suffer, like suffering's a bad thing. No, suffering's a good thing, right? And you get to be an advocate for that message.
Well, I think one of the very strategic and effective talking points that proponents use is that we need this to end pain and suffering. That's their main strategy, is to share a very personal, tragic story and say, why are you making them suffer? But if we look to Oregon, the state where this has been legalized the longest, and it's one of the only states now, Washington and Oregon actually collect the data on the reasons why patients are requesting the medication. More recent states, they no longer collect that data because it's inconvenient. It actually shows that the top 5 reasons patients are requesting the medication, it isn't pain, it isn't suffering, or even a fear of it. It's loss of autonomy, fear of being a burden, like you mentioned earlier. The reports show that 50% of patients report fear of being a burden as the reason why they're deciding to request
And
the medication.
finances, right? I don't want to be a
Financial
financial
worries.
burden to my family. Like that you can't, this is difficult for you, so why don't we just, end this so everything's going to be great for you after I go. Really?
And it's loss of autonomy, inability to enjoy activities you once enjoyed. Those are all disability-related concerns, and that's why every major national disability rights organization adamantly opposes assisted suicide because they see how dangerous this is. We're portioning out a piece of society saying their lives really are not worth living. And the reasons they're giving is because they're disability-related concerns.
Right. And we had the privilege of being with my mom when she was dying and taking that journey with her. And she wasn't my mom like she was cooking in the kitchen and taking care of 8 kids and being the super mom that she was. But she was still my mom. She was my mom in bed dying. And that was just the phase and stage that she was. But she was still my mom.
That's right.
And JJ was still your husband. Maybe he wasn't the Marine and he wasn't, but he was still your husband and your son's father and his parents' son. And we're missing that. We think like we're protecting ourselves. We have to disconnect from that beautiful human encounter as that is.
I think that's another phrase. I don't want to be a burden. Somehow we got to deal with that. And the other one is, that's not my mother, that's not my father, that's not my mother. And I get that, because it's not the same person if you're comparing them. But guess what? That is the same person at this stage. It's a difficult stage to see, this and that. But this is a real person. He's no less a person, no less sacred. This is him at this point. That was Jesus. Jesus was a little baby. Jesus ministered. And then he was marred beyond human semblance. They couldn't even recognize him because he was beaten, spit upon, and being crucified. But it was the same Jesus that was on the cross. Not to deny the pain, and that at some point that does have to go, and they do have to return to the Lord. But meanwhile, while they're here, that is who we are.
And I have shared that I was in a unique situation in that I had Lucas, who was so dependent on me for everything. He was only a few months old. He was a newborn, really. When Lucas was born, JJ was healthy and well, but 3 months later he started to decline when his cancer was actively ending his life. And so I was caring for Lucas in the same way I was caring for JJ in many ways. And I reflected on, I care for Lucas with joy. I do all of these things with joy. He's totally dependent on me. And why is that so different at the end of life? I was caring for JJ in the very same way, with the same passionate love that I had for Lucas. And I was able to give back the gift of love to Jay that he had always shown me in the years that we were married. And I considered that a gift.
What a privilege, what a perspective to have, right? Because you're just being a helpmate, you're being a servant, as we are as spouses with one another. And to love at that level of love. You wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Right, so suicide and euthanasia cuts it off, this understanding of love and deepening of love. Not to say, because I have a dear friend who battled brain cancer, and he said, this is really terrible, this is really bad, I don't want this, I want to be healthy, whole, and well. So you don't deny that, but that's that yearning that there is more. This should not be. There shouldn't be a child that lives for only a few days, or a Marine 33 years old that's going to die. I mean, there's something wrong with that. I mean, it's a part of a fallen world, but that can't, is that all there is? No, it isn't all there is, but meanwhile, this is what it is. How do we live with hope? How do we live courageously? How do we live saying, I'm not denying any of this stuff? Like Mother Teresa would say, that suffering is God's kiss, and the person who was dying said, I don't want to be kissed that much, I guess. They're both true at the same time, aren't they?
This journey is not easy. My heart goes out to anyone who is dealing with a life-limiting illness. I have so much compassion and love and understanding for how difficult it is. But when we consider assisted suicide, we need to remember that we can't focus on the one emotional, tragic story that's being shared by the proponents. Because if you look at anything in one narrow circumstance, you could rationalize almost anything. You have to step back, and JJ would say, you have to look at all the people that this is going to impact. And this is going to change the way we view patients at the end of life, and not just those patients, because the way the law has been interpreted in Oregon is it's 6 or months less with or without treatment, and that encompasses many more people than you would think. Proponents want to portray this as people at the very last few days of life who are really utilizing this, but someone with diabetes who's dependent on insulin would be terminal without that, and they would legally be qualified to do this. But what about the patients who don't want this? What about, because we're creating perverse incentives for insurance companies now to cut costs, to offer the cheaper option of assisted suicide instead of expensive care?
That sounds like abortion. You follow the money. So you're saying follow the money with assisted suicide.
So in Oregon, when this was first legalized there, we have 2 cases of patients who went to the media. They were on the Oregon Health Plan, and they received letters denying them. It was Randy Stroop and Barbara Wagner. You can find their videos online. They were denied their chemotherapy and offered assisted suicide instead. So it happened immediately. The insurance company stopped sending those letters because there was a huge public backlash, but that doesn't mean it wasn't still happening.
You're mentioning, I thought I heard you say something about videos, and we do have a video that we want to show. So let's go right to that video if you have it.
I chose to become a physician because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. Recently, I had 2 different patients, and both needed life-saving procedures. When requesting a transfer to a center in their home states, one's in California, one's in Oregon, the insurance medical directors I spoke with said they would not cover the life-saving procedure that we'd requested. But hey, by the way, have you considered assisted suicide? You know, quite frankly, I was stunned. This is something we didn't talk about, we didn't request, we didn't ask for. As much as most insurance companies try to come across as your best friend, they want to do whatever the least costly thing is. It's a lot cheaper to grab a couple drugs and kill you than it is to provide you life-sustaining therapy. Simple as that.
We have about a minute before our break or so. What was that about? I mean, I got some of it.
So that was Dr. Brian Callister, and I've had the privilege of traveling across the country advocating with him. He goes before state health committees and assemblies that are considering this legislation, and he shares his personal story of how he had 2 patients that had curable cancers if they had received the standard of care treatment. This was an experimental treatment, and because these laws were legal in Oregon and California, those patients were unable to receive the treatment they needed, the treatment they wanted, and instead became terminal and were offered assisted suicide instead.
Incredible injustice. We're going to take a break. We'll be coming back. It's Patients' Rights Action.org. Find out what you could do to stand against assisted suicide mentality, legislation. So there'll be plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, we're visiting today with Kristen Hansen, but first we're going to go straight to Rome to hear from Joan Lewis. Now, Joan, what does the church say about the value of human life?
Well, hi, Jim, and hi, Joy, and So great to be with you, especially as you and Kristen have the topic of how to teach people the value of life. And you know what? The most interesting thing, if you go online and put those words in, the value of life, the first thing you are going to get is the economic value of life. What is a life worth, for example, for an insurance policy? Absolutely amazing. However, we all know we are made in the image and likeness of God. And because of that, we have, each one of us, a priceless value. Part of that value is our inherent, innate dignity, our human dignity. That dignity is with us every moment of life, from the moment of conception to natural death. It's with us when we're weak, when we fail, when we sin. We still have that dignity. It's with us through life, it's with us in the aging process, and right including in that very last breath of earthly life that we take. Now here's what the U.S. bishops say. The Catholic Church proclaims that human life is sacred and the dignity of the human person is the foundation for the moral vision of society. This belief is the foundation of all the principles of our social teaching. In our society, human life is under direct attack from abortion and euthanasia. The value of life is being threatened by cloning, embryonic cell research, and the use of the death penalty. And you know, there's many ways of explaining life, and a lot of those ways are by witnessing, by giving an example. For example, when we have respectful, loving care of the elderly, of the sick and the dying, of people with disabilities, of so many other categories. That example tells us about human life. And here's what St. John Paul had to say in a 1993 homily. He said, "The challenge is to make the church's yes to life concrete and effective. The struggle will be long and it needs each one of you. Place your intelligence, your talents, your enthusiasm, your compassion, and your fortitude at the service of life." Beautiful words, of course, from John Paul. And here's what I believe. Explaining life, this human innate dignity, has to begin with the very young. As soon as they know how to speak, it's got to be in the family, it's got to be at the dinner table, it's got to be as the kids become adults, and then they have their own family. And what I'm saying, it's got to be 24/7. So, but time is up here, so back to you.
Joan, thank you so much for summarizing 2,000 years of the Church's teaching in a brief period of time. And thank you for saying what you believe, because I think she's exactly right about passing this on to our children. We don't want to wait till we're in the situation, so that these children, and as they grow, understand the sanctity and the dignity of human life and the immorality of assisted suicide and euthanasia. So they're telling us assisted suicide is the merciful thing, the caring thing to do. What do we need to emphasize in terms of terminal care and caring for people in that situation?
When I speak with proponents, I say our goal is the same. I don't want anyone to suffer at the end of life. JJ didn't want to suffer at the end of life. We're just going about it differently. What we need to focus on is effective palliative care at the end of life. Not enough people know about palliative care, that its role is there just to alleviate physical and emotional, spiritual suffering at the end of life. It addresses the whole person, the family, the caregivers. That's the truly compassionate way to care for patients at the end of life. JJ decided when his treatment stopped working to forego treatment at that point, when there was no chance that it was actually going to extend his life or even offer relief of suffering.
And that's in sync with the teaching of the Catholic Church. And
so we focused on controlling his pain and maximizing his quality of life so he could be very present with us still throughout that process. And that was with the help of very good palliative care. But my heart breaks to know that there are people out there who aren't receiving that, and we need to expand palliative care and access to it.
Our time has run out, unfortunately. Thank you is not adequate for the sharing of your journey with precious JJ, whose presence we feel with us this day, and for the great work that your organization is doing. Life, marriage, and the family will prevail. Don't be afraid. The battle for life is already won in Jesus Christ. Keep it on EWTN. God bless you. God bless all of your loved ones. Bye now.